In order to answer this question, we need to consider different contexts. And the first one is the UK context, and by extension, Western context, that Hamas are considered a proscribed group, a banned group, and a terrorist entity. As that relates to us in the West, we cannot therefore show any support or endorsement of Hamas, regardless of what we may think, because that will end up landing on our doorstep and our committing a criminal offence. From different societal perspectives, we're hearing some countries in the Middle East and beyond considering Hamas as resistance or freedom fighters in that respect. And parallels are being drawn with the African National Congress in South Africa during apartheid, Nelson Mandela, who is a classic example of one who was considered a terrorist by many societies, and then a freedom fighter, hero, and as we saw, he ascended to leadership post-apartheid. So those parallels are being drawn. But again, from our context in the UK, mentioning this is fine in and of itself. But in endorsing Hamas and showing support, that is problematic for us within a Western societal context. What I think is overarching to what I've just said, and must be the go-to for us as Muslims, is what our religion says concerning considerations of extremism or not. And we have precedents in the deen. Many of us know the story of the Khawarij, who emerged towards the end of the Prophet ﷺ's life, and what happened during the era of the Sahaba, Ali radiallahu anhu in particular. And so we need to look at those signs to see if they are applicable to any entity, any individual or any entity. So for example, from a religious perspective, did Hamas go in and kill innocent civilians and children and kidnap elderly and all the allegations that are there? If that's the case, then that's an extremism. Then within today's context, that's considered terrorism. So that's what the religion will hold in that regard. The killing of innocents. And that's the allegation that is being made against them in that regard. Conversely, however, we must always take into consideration the complete context that has states legislated terrorism being enacted against the people of Palestine as a result, and also preceding the events of 7th of October. And the answer is unequivocally yes, by many, looking from whatever context, whether it's from a different societal context or a UK Western societal context. And we only have to look at the marches, 88% of which were pro-Palestinian across the world following the events of 7th of October. 88% pro-Palestinian marches across the world. So that answers that particular aspect that I've just highlighted there regarding whether the resulting response, which was disproportionate and continues to be disproportionate to what was done by Hamas, and what preceded what was done by Hamas, have been disproportionate behaviors and responses. However, again, to conclude, we cannot allow our emotional feelings, should I say, or that the cap that we're wearing be an emotional one whereby everything we know according to the religion, everything we know according to the evidence that we have before us goes out of the window, and we just respond as a reaction to what we see happening to our Palestinian brothers and sisters at the moment. And the same must be said about everything that we're looking at as it relates to whether it extends to extremism and therefore terrorism or not.